We all came out to a singularity. The Big Bang singularity at the beginning of the universe.
Before Stephen Hawking's work in cosmology and theoretical physics would reshape the way the world thinks about black holes and the universe.
Although I cannot move, and I have to speak through a computer, in my mind, I am free.
Before Stephen Hawking's life story would be turned into an Academy Award winning film, The Theory of Everything, starring Eddie Redmayne.
Keep going.
I don't know how.
Yet.
Keep winding.
Where to?
Before Stephen Hawking would appear on Star Trek The Next Generation, Futurama, The Big Bang Theory, and 4 different episodes of The Simpsons.
Don't feel bad, Lisa. Sometimes the smartest of us can be the most childish.
Even you?
No.
The first rock star of science, his lifelong goal was to bring science to the public. He found ways to make the most obscure and mind-stretching concepts comprehensible to ordinary folk like you and I, all the while he made breakthroughs in the world's understanding of the universe, time, and the properties of black holes. Stephen Hawking will go down in history as one of the great minds of all time. Now Hawking has left us with plenty to ponder. He claimed he could think in 11 dimensions, he was convinced that time travel is possible, and that humans may indeed colonize other planets in the future. What I find most fascinating about Stephen was, despite his disease, well, there still existed a man of brash behavior and a great sense of humor. I'm serious. Like when Zayn Malik left One Direction, well, he had this to say.
It would not then be beyond the realms of possibility that somewhere outside of our own universe lies another different universe. And in that universe, Zayn is still in One Direction.
The dude also fathered his 3rd child after losing his ability to walk, and later in life he even divorced his first wife, opting to marry his nurse instead. But we'll get into that a little later in this video. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Michael McCrudden, documenting the life and career of Stephen Hawking prior to his passing, here for you and before they were gone. Now we hope this video serves as a tribute to the departed and a celebration of their life. We encourage viewers to leave your well wishes and condolences for Stephen's loved ones in the comments down below. Now let's get into this video.
I have been enormously privileged, through my work, to be able to contribute to our understanding of the universe. But it would be an empty universe indeed, if it were not for the people I love, and who love me.
Stephen William Hawking was born in Oxford, England on January 8, 1942, on the 300th anniversary of the death of Galileo.
Galileo, perhaps more than any other single person, Galileo was responsible for the birth of modern science.
Sharing this date was a source of pride for Stephen. He also shared a birthday with Elvis Presley, David Bowie, and Kim Jong-un. He grew up the eldest of 4 children, his father Frank and mother Isabel. Well, they were intellectuals, both Oxford grads. Now Stephen was born during World War II while England was under siege by German bombs. The family moved from North London to Oxford as it served as safer grounds for them to raise a young family. Now stories have been shared about this family, and they were best described as being eccentric. They lived in a house that was falling apart, where they all had their nose deeps in books while they ate dinner as a family. Experiments were times of bonding with a beehive in the basement, and the family would make homemade fireworks in the backyard. Now fireworks were something that would carry a long love for Stephen, well, throughout his life.
The Maypole scene was spectacular, especially the fireworks.
During his younger years, Stephen was quite active and would spend his summers climbing trees and playing with his younger sisters. He would also spend long nights laying on his back staring up at the stars. Now his father had studied medicine and would work regularly overseas in Africa, dealing with tropical diseases. He wanted his son to follow in his footsteps, but it was clear early on that Stephen showed a love for science and the sky. Stephen bounced around many schools during his formative years and didn't properly learn to read until he was 8 years old. He also scored the 3rd bottom in his class. He also received average grades while attending St. Albans School and showcased more of a love for board games than academics. Now amongst his peers, he must have showcased signs of his brilliance because they nicknamed him Einstein. Him and his pals went on to construct a basic computer out of a clock and other recyclables, which was capable of solving simple math equations. Now this is pretty remarkable. I mean, the first computer in the world was created in 1946. So, well done. As it came time for Stephen to go to college, he pulled up his grades with little effort and earned himself an academic scholarship to Oxford University at the age of 17. Now his initial plan was to study mathematics at Oxford, but they didn't offer a degree in that specifically, so he gravitated towards physics, and more specifically, cosmology.
I have no doubt there will be settlements on the moon, and by the end of the century, I truly hope humans will be living on Mars.
Now Stephen didn't put much time to his studies initially. He would later calculate that he averaged about an hour a day focusing on school. What he did love doing was hanging out with the boys, and he became a coxswain for the school's rowing team. It was during his final year at Oxford that he began dealing with increased acts of clumsiness, followed by difficulties performing physical tasks, and soon his speech began to slur. But he put off the idea of seeing a doctor for some time. He had a few other things on the go. At a New Year's party in 1962, he met a young language undergraduate named Jane Wilde, who he married 2 years later. He was also hoping to receive first honors in his undergraduate so he could go to Cambridge and study cosmology for his graduate. Now fearing that he had been determined a lazy and difficult student, he told his faculty, "If you award me a first, I will go to Cambridge. If I receive a second, I shall stay in Oxford. So I expect you will give me a first." The plan worked out well, and he was off to Cambridge University for a PhD in cosmology. Now it was during his first year as a grad student that he fell during an ice skating trip, and it was decided that he would meet with doctors to determine what the hell was going on with him. After 2 weeks in the hospital under rigorous examinations, he was diagnosed with ALS.
It's a progressive neurological disorder that destroys the cells in the brain that control essential muscle activity, such as speaking, walking, breathing, swallowing.
The doctors told him that they only expected him to live for another 2.5 years. Now in his personal memoir, he wrote, "I felt it was very unfair. Why should this happen to me? At the time I thought my life was over and that I would never realize the potential I felt I had." After slipping into a deep depression, he found the determination to make the most of his time left on Earth. He poured himself into his work and research and also wed Jane in 1965. By this time, he needed the support of a cane. In 1966, he received his PhD in applied mathematics and theoretical physics, specializing in general relativity and cosmology. In 1967, the couple welcomed their first child, Robert. In 1968, Hawkins became a member of the Institute of Astronomy in Cambridge. By this time, the only tasks he could accomplish by himself were to eat and to get out of his bed and into his chair. Also his speech, it had become so slurred that only those closest to him could understand what he was saying. But life did carry on, and he welcomed a daughter in 1970 and a second son in 1979.
Look what we made.
In 1973, he published his first highly technical book, The Large-Scale Structure of Space-Time, with G.F.R. Ellis. In 1974, Hawking's research turned him into a celebrity with the scientific world when he showed that black holes aren't the information vacuums that scientists had thought they were. Hawking's radiation theory was born, and he released a formula that measures emissions from black holes, and the announcement sent shockwaves of excitement through the scientific world. Hawking was named a Fellow of the Royal Society at the age of 32, and later earned the prestigious Albert Einstein Award among many other honors. In 1979, Hawking found himself back at Cambridge University, where he was named to one of teaching's most renowned posts, which dates back to 1663, the Lucasian Professor of Mathematics. Now this was a gig previously held by Sir Isaac Newton.
The day that apple fell on my head was the most momentous day in the history of science.
Not the apple story again.
Now Stephen almost died back in 1985 after he contracted pneumonia while traveling to Geneva. An operation was performed to keep him breathing, but that resulted in him losing his voice for good. It didn't take long for a California computer programmer to come forward with a program that would allow Stephen to speak through a speech synthesizer using a handheld clicker. Synthesizer, I might need one myself. As he later lost control of this ability, he would use his cheek muscles attached to a sensor, allowing him to speak his mind. Now in the coming years, Stephen would be given multiple offers to change the sound of his voice. Even Hollywood's finest came forward for the gig.
Stephen, it's me. Surely it has to be me. Listen to my voice. It's deep, it's sexy, it's got a tinge of physics.
I've heard on the grapevine that a bunch of quits are trying to get you to pick them as your new voice. Come on, who better soothing, calming voice than I've got? You'd be crazy not to pick me.
I don't think anyone would take me seriously if I sounded like that.
Despite all the offers, Stephen felt that the robotic voice had become part of his identity. Now, after blowing the minds of the science community, he began to focus more on educating the general public. His first book, A Brief History of Time, landed on the London Sunday Times bestseller list for 237 weeks after its publication in 1988. He went on to pen his own biography and a total of 15 books, including The Universe in a Nutshell and A Briefer History of Time. Now, some of these books have been praised as the most iconic books of the 20th century. Then in 1990, Stephen shocked the world again. He left his wife Jane for one of his nurses, Elaine Mason. Now, the two were married in 1995, and well, with all this global notoriety, countless opportunities were coming in Stephen's direction. He landed his first acting gig alongside Data, Albert Einstein, and Sir Isaac Newton in Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Wrong again, Albert.
Red alert!
In 2003, nurses looking after Hawking reported suspicion to police that his new wife Elaine was physically abusing her husband. Now, he denied the allegations, and the police, they dropped the investigation, but then in 2006, he and Elaine, they filed for divorce. Now, in the following years, he would reconnect with his initial family. He also reconciled with Jane, but she'd remarried. Then he moved forward with his daughter Lucy, and they put together some science-themed novels, which they published for children. Despite the failure of his second marriage and his increasing ailment, well, the man kept his sense of humor. He stated in an interview, "The downside of my celebrity is that I cannot go anywhere in the world without being recognized. It's not enough for me to wear dark sunglasses and a wig. The wheelchair, it gives me away." In 2007, at the age of 65, Hawking achieved a life goal, experiencing zero gravity, bringing him one step closer to his dream of traveling in space. He also had future plans to fly to the edge of space as one of Sir Richard Branson's pioneer space tourists. In 2011, he participated in a trial of a new headband-style device called the iBrain. The device is designed to read the wearer's thoughts by picking up waves of electrical brain signals. Keeping busy, Stephen also appeared on The Big Bang Theory. This was in 2012. In 2014, after viewing The Theory of Everything, he shed a tear, but he was still sharp with his wit. In his review, it read, "Unfortunately, Eddie did not inherit my good looks." In 2014, Stephen, among other top scientists, they spoke out about the possible dangers of artificial intelligence, or AI, calling for more research to be done on all possible ramifications. We're talking Terminator, Judgment Day.
You mean more advanced than you, Mark?
Yes, and mimetic polyalloy.
What the hell does that mean?
Liquid metal.
The theoretical physicist, cosmologist, astronomer, and mathematician, well, he continued to stay in the public eye and traveled all over answering the world's burning questions about black holes, space, the cosmos, and even extraterrestrials. Now, it was in the early hours of March 14, 2018 that he passed away peacefully in his home in Cambridge, England. It just so happens that it was on March 14th, which is the 30th anniversary of Pi Day, a day for celebrating the mathematical constant which is pi. Now, Hawkins later said that he would like his equation for Hawking radiation to be carved onto his tombstone. I'm sure that's something his family will get done. As for the rest of the story, well, the rest of the story lives on in his work and through his loved ones, because this is before they were gone. My name is Michael McCrud, and you guys requested this one. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave your condolences in the comments down below. Let us know who you'd like us to document in a future video. If you want to see other people that have passed, we have an entire playlist dedicated to that. I'll see you guys in another video.
If you are looking for trouble, you found it.
Yeah, just try me, you.
You've stated that you believe there could be an infinite number of parallel universes. Does that mean that there is a universe out there where I am smarter than you?
Yes, and also a universe where you're funny.